Now that I have the intake runners all port and polished up, I'm going to be cleaning up some of the vacuum system. All of you that have a 93 to 95, you're probably familiar with this, which is my vacuum system, because it's got that yellow tube. I think I'm the only guy that has a yellow tube. These pipes are all associated with vacuum. Get some of these little pipe cleaners. You can find these mostly at tobacco stores that sell pipes. You stick that down like so, and then just go in and out. You want to try and bend it over a little bit and bring it up and down and kind of work around the lip a little bit. And as you can see, that can get pretty dirty in there. And then use your mouth and blow on that. Blow out the carbon. And there's another one on the other side. Actually, both of these. I have not done any more work to the intake runners. I'm not going to. Other than I will be sanding them down. I'll take my little sanding barrels and sand that crap off. So what I've been doing is just trying to clean up a little bit. Aluminum brush, the same one that I used to clean the engine. Just getting in here and getting out. This whole thing was covered with gunk and grime. These 4 ports right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, are for your injectors. They stick down in through here. And there's a grommet that goes around that. So what might happen over the life of the car is those injector seals start leaking air or fuel from blowback. Let's just say your engine's not running healthy and you might get a little bit of blowback gas that starts spurting it out here, and so it'll get wet. And then it kind of seals it up. It helps to seal all that grime and crap, helps to seal it up. So once you take all this stuff off, when you put everything back together, you might notice that your injector's leaking, and then that's why it's always a good policy to get new injector O-rings when you do something like this. So that's just kind of what I've been up to. I've been just cleaning it up like that. Let's see, like right there. See how there's different levels of oxidation? That's just from the aluminum corroding. Yeah, that kind of thing. So an aluminum brush will help a lot to take off this top coat of oxidation. And then after you do that, it's a lot of work, but after you do that, then you go at it with your sanding bits. And for some of you that have never taken any of this stuff apart, it's kind of neat to be able to see inside of here and kind of what's going on with the internals. Because before I took all this stuff off, most of this stuff was just a mystery, you know. What does the inside of an intake runner look like? Well, that's what it looks like. You wouldn't know unless you took one off, so it's a good learning experience. There aren't really that many videos, actually, that I know of. There aren't any videos for Mazda 626's 4 cylinders to show the internal parts like this. I mean, that's what a head looks like. I never saw what that looked like before. So I'm not breaking any new ground here, you know. Ever since these cars have come out, or ever since cars were made, people have been taking them apart. But this is the first time I've seen that, so that's kind of interesting. And now with the advent of YouTube, you can see it too. I spent the last hour cleaning up some casting ridges with the Dremel. Here's the original. So that's an original casting line, and it goes all the way around the manifold, and that's pretty much what it looks like right now. So I'm going to do that and take off this entire casting line. It goes all the way around the part. I've already done the top. If you have an FS engine, you are probably very familiar with those casting lines, and if you're like me and you like aesthetics, you're always looking at those casting lines and going, gosh, I wish I could shave those down. Well, now that I have the intake manifold off and I have the opportunity, I'm taking it. Let's see, I also tried taking a sanding disc to that, just to see if I could clean up the entire thing. Ideally, what I would like to do is to clean this entire thing up and sand it down, and then I'd take some sandpaper and then sand this by hand just to get that really shiny. So ideally, that's about what it should look like. Really nice and shiny. So that's what I'm up to tonight. And then hopefully on Monday I'll be able to take this back to the same machine shop that I got my head done, that one, and have them hot tank this and clean it. Because the vacuum lines and everything are off, there's no electronics in here, so they can just dip this entire thing, maybe sonic clean it. I'm not exactly sure. I know that it should clean up really nicely. Now on the 93 to 95, you'll notice these little shark fins jutting out from the top of the intake manifold, and those little fins are for setting it down. So when you set it down, it has something nice and flat to set down onto. Now some of the 5th gens don't have those fins, so when you set your intake manifold down, you're going to have to find a spot to set it down, and do not set it down on the mating surface. You always want to try and keep this nice and flat, and I've been working around this for quite a while, and I never set it down on my mating surface. I always set it down on the shark fins, or either that side. This side right here never touches the ground. Okay, so there's one of the shark fins, right? And that's pretty much what it looks like when it's all polished up. That is really smooth. It feels really good. That's bare aluminum right there. Even though it's hard to tell on the camera because everything looks kind of the same color. Oh, there we go. Now you can see it shine. So if I can get that polished up even more, that should look brilliant. As long as you have the intake manifold off and the head, or you're doing some kind of rebuild job, or even if you're not, you can just take off your intake manifold and do this work and then slap it back on. You want to get it cleaned up properly though. Make sure you get all that metal crap out of there. And just in case you wanted to see what I look like while I'm doing all this stuff, this is pretty much it. Got my gloves, got my eye protection, got my mask, got my heat lamp that's basically burning me to a crisp. I feel like I have sunburn standing under this thing. Okay, so let's get back to work. Okay, I finished up the casting. Everything came out really good. There's no more casting marks. It's a little beat up looking, but you know, that's because I used a carbide bit. Once I get the sanding block down, the sanding barrel bit, I think everything should look pretty darn good. Oh, I missed one. Oh. Whatever. I missed some on the side there too. I'll get those tomorrow. It's like 4 a.m. right now. Yeah. I've been running my Dremel tool non-stop for about the past 3 hours.